Hi. Hey, how are you? 5280 Sports Network. I'm Nate Lundy. That's Shawn Drotar. Thank you for being here. Remember, you can join us on the radio as well as these videos. We are on Mile High Sports Radio, AM 1340, FM 1047, every weekday morning starting at 7 a.m. It is a great way for you to start off your morning. It is second only to coffee, but we promise to really tick you off by the time the show is over. Shawn, we wrap up. I don't even know what day it is in terms of camp because they're counting things differently. The Broncos, I believe, say it's day 8, even though there was a day off in the middle and there's a 7. I was told there would be no math. As we come together, though, for this practice, the coaches got into them after a not so great day yesterday, and it looks like they got through.
Yeah, I think when you looked at how upset the coaches were, you could hear their voices ringing over on the berm, so it was a PG-13 practice for kids who were out there yesterday. But I think the Broncos had, when you look at the practice today, ended pretty much right when it usually does. Wasn't as much screaming and shouting. I think they had a better practice. Looks like the quarterbacks were a little more on target today. Wasn't some of the disastrous throws we saw yesterday. I don't think anyone stood out necessarily, but it wasn't the mess, and you didn't have quite the frustration with the coaching staff. So back on track, seeing as the first preseason game is a week from today.
Yeah, absolutely. So other than Phil Taylor, I think the other thing, and knock on wood, I think the other thing that is, yes, I knocked on your head.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed.
I think the other thing, though, that as you look around some other camps around the country, we've seen some other injuries, even if just tweak kinds of injuries. The Broncos haven't had so far something like that hit them. That would be, for some teams, that's a pretty harsh blow. But for the Broncos, this team has a lot of depth. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but at the same time, I sort of feel like if somebody were to get tweaked, be out for a week, it's not going to be as bad as it might be for other teams around the NFL. Probably
not, and we're seeing certain guys get a day or two off here and there because not only did the Broncos want to see some of their depth, but also because they can, like you pointed out. Only on really offense. On defense especially, don't worry about it. Offense, maybe you worry about it a little bit because they do want to see some of these guys on the line. They're trying to reform an offensive line. They're trying to make sure we know who the quarterback is, who the third, fourth, fifth, and maybe even sixth wide receiver is. So on the offense, I think you worry about it more. But again, it wouldn't be the older guys, it'd be the younger guys. So the established players, the Broncos have the ability to maybe still continue keeping on if there was an injury here or there. But fortunately, they have avoided it. And I don't think you're going to see this team press really hard over the course of camp because that's something that Gary Kubiak didn't do last year either. This isn't the old school 2-a-day, run these guys into the ground sort of camp. It's more get in, get our work done, get out healthy.
As you go through the next few days, one of the things we know about camp is obviously the storyline changes every day, but I almost feel like we're in this little bit of a lull, especially even if you look at the coverage from the TV stations, from the radio stations, from our videos, from everybody's stuff, is that we're in kind of this funky lull, Shawn. We had the big excitement of getting back to camp as the Super Bowl champions, and then there's a little bit of a lull, and then as you said, a week from now they'll start playing the games, and I think, to be honest, I think that that's part of where the not so great performance yesterday of camp came from. I think the players feel it too. They're all jacked to get back, and then all of a sudden the practices and the workouts and the film sessions start to kick in, and then they got to find the energy again. Maybe the closer we get to that first preseason game, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, before the very first day of camp, Demaryius Thomas came right over there, addressed the media, and pointed out how he was excited to come back for day one. And then right after that, it starts to become a grind. So it becomes a grind for these guys. And today was much more pleasant outside, cooler, a little bit of breeze, much more comfortable as well. I think that helps. The next big step is when we see the depth chart get released. Maybe that's Monday. Could potentially be a little sooner than that. But when the depth chart gets released, then you see it fire back up because guys have an understanding of exactly who they need to hop over, who they need to beat to get on this team. So that's when you see the intensity pick back up again. Right now, I think they're anticipating the game, like you said, and they're still kind of going through a grind. When the depth chart comes out, then a lot of these competitions begin in earnest because there are so many spots.
Where are you on the depth chart?
I am right below that second kicker that they didn't bring into camp.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the third string fullback. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they only brought one of those to camp, too.
Look at this size, man. Me blocking for CJ? I got this. 5280 Sports Network. He's Shawn. I'm Nate. See ya.